off the puck. But if you've got a little time, then come and spend it with us. 'Cause now you're listening to the Rough Cut.
Hello, and welcome down to the Rough Cut Golf Podcast, coming at you from rainy Manchester, a week after the greatest 7 days in golf, the Open Championship at Holyoke, which turned out to be not quite the exciting, fun-filled, action-packed extravaganza of links golf that we had all hoped for. It did turn out to be somewhat of a damp squib, but what we are going to do is bring you the inside facts. We were there for the full week, the tasty little morsels of gossip, and what you need to know from the 151st Open Championship, playing at such a historic venue. I am joined today by Mick and by Jacob. Kieran is off on his hollybobs, so cannot take part in this momentous podcast. Gentlemen,
Yes, sir.
how are we?
Excellent.
That's good.
You happy with that?
Yeah,
I'm really happy. You said there was some gossip. What gossip was there?
Too much gossip.
Really?
This is going to be the most gossip-packed podcast thing we've ever had.
Okay, so you were on the range all week.
I was.
I will join, I'm sure, everyone watching in congratulating you on doing a very good job.
Yes, sir. We're very good.
Yeah, you did really good.
Well, we'll get on to that. I'm not so sure.
But you were talking to players and caddies and, you know, plethora of celebs who were also there. Did I spot Ian Rush, or did you have
Yeah, I wasn't.
cricketers and loads of stuff?
I had a chat to. So basically, the whole. Let me give you the full breakdown of what happened. So I was working with the RNA, the Open, doing a show called Live from the Range, which was also on Sky Sports. It was broadcast throughout the world and got a lot of messages and also, a lot of positive feedback on what we were doing. We were doing interviews with players on the driving range, getting into their mindset, getting into the mind of these elite athletes before they went out to play, and then interviewing loads of celebs and so on and so forth. And it was good. It was inside the ropes access. It was behind the scenes, got to see the real kind of meat and bones of how an Open Championship is put together. And it was eye-opening, because I did the same thing at St Andrews last year, but this Open felt a little bit more business-like. Like the Open last year was just a massive party.
Yeah.
It was 150th. The whole vibe around the place was really cool. Obviously, you're in the town. I was staying literally right next to the course as well. Everything was just, it was really exciting. This year seemed a bit more structured in how we were doing things, because we had to be getting around all these different places.
Yeah.
There was shuttles everywhere.
Yeah, I imagine it didn't help that the range was a tiny bit of a walk away from the course, definitely, but also like the practice areas not next to the first, like directly next to the first tee, and it was all a little bit disjointed. Do you think?
Yeah, it was. Because basically, Royal Liverpool, Holyoke, I need to get this definition right. So just in case you were confused during the broadcast, Holyoke is the golf course, Royal Liverpool is the golf club, and the club plays at Holyoke.
Oh, okay.
But
Wow.
it doesn't matter. It's
That
a
was like
definition.
Crail, wasn't it? It's like
Yeah.
Crail Golf
Yeah,
Society, but it's Balcombe Links.
You don't need to worry about it.
Yeah.
We'll interchange it just to mix it up.
That video's out, by the way.
Which one?
Crail.
Oh, Crail, yeah. If you've not watched it, why the hell not?
Yeah, it's very good.
Incredible video. Probably our best golf of the year. The club at Royal Liverpool, Holyoke, their driving range is in the middle of the course in the old racetrack, and that is where the hospitality is for the Open. So they can't obviously hit balls there.
Yeah.
So they've bought a old municipal course just over the road and turned one of the holes into a driving range. I think they've got plans to basically make another 9 holes over there and really develop it. So full on like driving range, proper one. And like,
teaching
really make it
facilities and all that stuff. I imagine.
If they get it together, it'll be great. It'll be really good.
They need that. They need to keep that stand, I think, behind the driving range.
Wow.
How cool would that be?
Yeah, just
old Terry's going out to play in the weekly medal, and there's people just watching from the top of the stairs.
Yeah, I'm going to put a bit of pressure on. And it was quite strange, because at the Open in St Andrews, that grandstand was consistently packed.
Oh, it was full all the time.
Yeah, because it was right next to the course. The one at Royal Liverpool, just because it was over the road, just because it was a 10-minute walk away from the action, it was a lot less busy.
Yeah.
But I actually made it quite nice, because you could like get to talk to the players. It was quite an intimate kind of atmosphere in some respects, especially from Monday to Wednesday when the players were relaxed.
Yeah.
I think what also probably didn't help it was that people might have been worried about having to leave the course, and like because it was a bit kind of, oh, if I go out of the golf course now, will I be able to come back in? Because you have to go out to get to the driving range, and there were quite a few people that were asking us about that, and even the system they were using where they were just putting like those white kind of bands on just to kind of, it didn't feel very official, shall we say, but
and you had to kind of like check in and check out.
Yes.
When you were going into the venue, you had to like scan in, you had to scan out, you had to get your bags checked all the time. They were always on the lookout for Just Stop Oil protesters who yet again managed to get tickets to the Open.
yeah, they're everywhere.
Whoever is buying their tickets, like, you know what?
They're getting about.
Agree or disagree with what they're doing, fair play. They know how to get tickets.
They know how to get into an event, those guys.
We will give them that. So it was a lot more kind of like security, so it was a bit more stop-start. So just that slight separation. And then because we were covering all the practice areas, we covered the range, but the short game facility, like chipping and pitching, that was to the right of the second hole.
Yeah, I don't even remember going anywhere near that.
We couldn't get to it. We the barrier where we were walking towards it, they were like, are you a player? And we were like, no. They're like, you can't come through this
Stuck
way.
in the back.
Yeah.
Okay.
We were like, but we want to go and watch
I saw the putting green. I don't remember seeing anything with chipping, but
the chipping green was kind of, you could get to it.
Oh, right,
You
okay.
just had to, because
if your name's Peter Finch.
Yeah.
Finch dog.
His face just opens doors, mate. But the whole layout of the course was just a little bit different than it normally is, just to fit everything in.
What did you think of the course?
I thought the course set up really well, like for these players. One of the common issues at times, what people say about kind of Hoyt Lake, is it's just very flat.
Yeah.
But what actually happened is, because of all the grandstands, because of everything adding a little bit of height, it actually added a lot of definition to the course.
Right.
So I would actually say that a lot of the course looked a lot better with the addition of the grandstands.
Right. Got you.
It kind of framed things.
Bit of framing. It did feel like, we stood behind some tee boxes, and if you took out the kind of the hospitality tents, or the village or whatever, where the food is, you'd be like, well, what the heck, flaming neck do you aim at?
Yeah.
Just
exactly.
the sky.
Yeah. So it actually added that extra level of
A
definition.
fade off that cloud.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, you're aiming at the mascot tent and you're trying to fade over to the Doosan song. I don't actually know what they do. Does anyone know what Doosan does?
They sponsored the Open.
Shall we have a look? We've got a new addition to the Rough Cut Golf podcast, by the way. We have a laptop on the table. It's all the modern golf. Just so
We're going up in the world.
Doosan, they are a
multinational conglomerate. Well,
That sounds-
that still doesn't tell us
sounds
anything.
like a tax dodge. That.
It's a South Korean multinational.
Oh, wow. Look at
Wow.
that. They make rocket
on
ships.
earth are they building? Holy moly, mother of our Lord.
Maybe we don't want to know what they're doing.
No, it looks like they're planning to just about take over the world there.
Yeah. Wow. Look at that.
Oh, wow. Jeez.
Okay. Well, people can't see it, but
So,
their website's very good.
You know what, Doosan? They do everything. They do a little bit of everything. Very cool. So, yeah, all that kind of signage really added, I think, to the atmosphere. Some of my other concerns about the course going into it, the internal out of bounds on the third hole and the 18th hole.
Yep.
I'm not a huge fan of internal out of bounds. I've been pretty strident on this issue before, but it kind of worked there.
I agree.
Because of the way all the corporate kind of stands and all the fan village was packed into the middle. You knew that if you hit it into there, you're out of bounds. It kind of made sense.
Yeah.
Like if you play there normally and you just hit it,
It's just another field.
yeah, it's just a patch of grass, and you're like, oh, that's out of bounds. It just didn't really make a lot of sense. But at the Open, it did, and it made, especially the 18th, such a hard hole.
Yeah.
Oh,
And it's long as well.
A final hole of an Open Championship, I'd like there to be some jeopardy.
yeah.
The worst thing about Wyndham Clark's win at the US Open for me was that when he stood on the 18th and basically hit a 50-yard slice and still found the fairway in a US Open, and that kind of irritated me a little bit.
Yeah.
Whereas here, at least, I mean, you could still launch it miles left, and you saw a lot of people go miles left. But
Yeah. Was it the first or the second? What was left of it? Oh no, hospitality left of it as well.
If you went far enough
Yeah,
left,
if you went far enough. Didn't Rory end up over that
yeah,
barrier
but you
at
could
some
go
point? Yeah.
really far left.
Yeah, we'll get into how we play. We actually managed to get onto the course to play the day after the Open yesterday. And I'll explain how we played the 18th. It was dramatic.
Oh.
So
I don't even know, so I'll look forward to that.
yeah. I mean, it was a case of like those last 4 holes. Like you could go into those last 4 holes with a 5-shot lead and still come out not winning, which is why you still had an element of drama, even though Brian Harman
Element of hope.
was absolutely bossing it. Unfortunately, the wind sat down, and that was the killer.
Yeah.
Do you think that 17 was as controversial as people thought it was going to be? Like, how do you think it played?
It wasn't as controversial as it could have been because there was no massive disasters for a leader.
So if Harman had dropped 5 shots on that hole, then we would be talking a lot about that hole.
Yeah, absolutely. It'd be a defining hole of the actual event. I think overall it played pretty fair. I mean, it's a very simple hole on the face of it. It's 130 yards, and you know you have to hit the green. If you don't hit the green, you're rolling off into very deep bunkers or nasty runoff areas. If you go along, you're down on the beach. It's kind of like it's all in front of you. You know what you've got to do. It was by far, and I mean this, it was by far the most talked about hole when I was on the driving range.
Really?
And I've got to be honest, there were players who came out and said they quite liked it, but I would say pretty much 100% of everyone I spoke to from the professional golf side didn't like it.
Okay.
From the corporate-y people or
As in
from the
players?
players?
From the players.
Oh, right. Okay.
And the
What was
coaches.
what was their concern?
It was
Too bloody hard.
Yeah, the concern was not so much that it was hard. It was just like the severity of and the unfairness of if you just missed a green.
It was just a bit too much over the top.
Yeah, it was,
okay.
it was just a little bit too much because certainly before they changed the bunker raking, so on the first few days they raked the bunkers dead flat.
I think it was maybe even just the first round, wasn't it? Like only the first round was flat bunkers, and then they did them straight after the.
Yeah. And it was certainly the bunker on the right hand side. It was a horror show in there if you went in. So it was just that element of this could actually destroy someone's scorecard, and it going into that final round, you had obviously Brian Harman with a massive lead. The only players to collapse from that position were Greg Norman when he lost to Faldo and John van der Velde. Mm-hmm. Both those players, not Greg Norman to an extent.
Do you know what's mad is when you said that, I was like, none of those guys were playing.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean in open
historically
in open tournaments,
major championships.
I was like, what? Norman, what the hell did he do?
Yeah.
You just didn't get any coverage, mate. It was just-
Sorry, in major championship history, those are the only 2 players, and they are somewhat defined by those collapses.
Yeah.
So the fear would be that going into that 17th, and the 18th in some respects, you could have somebody who's leading by miles collapse and lose, and that's what they will be remembered by. And they might never ever get over that.
Was that kind of what happened to Spieth as well? Didn't he have a meltdown at the Masters potentially?
He did, yes, but it wasn't. He didn't have that big of a lead.
Right. Okay.
And
who won? Who stole it from him at the end?
Willett.
yeah.
Danny Willett. Yeah. Oh, that's why we were talking about it, because we followed Willett on one of the practice rounds while we were there. So
yeah. So it was. I think overall the course stood up really well. I think the 17th.
What's your favourite hole?
From a pure intimidation standpoint, 18.
Yeah.
It is horrific. As far as like the fear that it strikes into you off that tee. Honestly, it's wow.
Bad.
Yeah, very bad.
Nice.
I think the third hole, just with the internal out of bounds, is the sharp dog leg
it's
right.
very flat, that one.
Yeah, it is just it's such a weird hole. It's such a there's nothing to it, and yet at the same time, it's a fantastic strategic kind of hole to play.
Yeah.
But I think overall, my favourite's 13, the Alps, the little par 3. Just the views and everything you get off that, and like the shaping you got to use. It's nice, pure.
Yeah, there was some. I don't think we ever actually got all the way out to.
We didn't.
To 11 and 12.
Too far.
Like, oh, dude, it was raining. I'm not walking all that way.
But yeah, no, I really like it. It's not a course that when I've played it, particularly sets up well for me because you've got to be able to move the ball from right to left. Not my forte. So I think it's a good open venue. It'll definitely go back there again. But I have other favourite open venues.
Yeah.
To play.
Did we have that on the last day when we were hanging out with Tubes? Like we were talking about what is your favourite one to play, and it was what?
I've got several.
How many open venues have you played?
I've played all the open venue. I played, I think, all the current open venues, maybe apart from Muirfield, but that keeps getting missed off.
Yeah.
So, I think my favourite.
You've not played Royal St George?
Not played Royal St George's, and I've not played Royal St George's, Royal Cinque Ports, which
we haven't had that for a while.
Yeah, that won't kind of host an open.
That was
it's too small.
It's too small.
Final qualifying this year, wasn't it?
Yeah. So not played that one, and then of the other old ones, I've not played Musselburgh.
Oh yeah.
That is going back.
Muirfield.
That's a real throwback muscle.
Yeah. So eventually,
it's an original 3 there.
Eventually, we'll get to play them all. But I think for me personally, I really like Troon. I just like the whole vibe of it.
Yeah.
Oh, it's good. It's good because that's where we're going next year.
Next year. But also where we're going the year after Portrush. Portrush is probably my favourite as far as like a course.
We've got 3 good ones now, haven't we? Troon, Portrush, and then Birkdale.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh, Birkdale got back on, didn't it?
26. Yeah.
Oh, looking forward to that.
So like the amount of I think for me Portrush is just, it was weird because I've only played it once and I got reminded of it during that conversation. And I was like, wow, yeah, you know what course?
Yeah.
What an unbelievable golf course that is. So I think
Was that Lowry's win?
Yeah, it was. Yeah. And apparently, from everyone who worked at the Portrush Open, they said that was like one of the best to work.
Oh, really?
So
okay.
I'm hopefully not going to
We'll
mess
hang
up
on for 2 more years.
between now and 2 years, so we can get to go to that.
Well,
Will you be sleeping in a very familiar accommodation when we go to Troon? I imagine.
hopefully.
Yes. Hopefully we'll be down at Dundonald. It was interesting with the accommodation because, like we were saying at St Andrews, one of the really cool things is we were there.
Yeah, you were in it.
We were in the town.
Yeah.
You guys stayed at the campsite.
We did,
So
yeah.
you were in the town still,
Yeah.
which was good. I was about kind of 25-minute drive away.
Yeah.
So I felt that little bit
Separation.
of separation.
Yeah. And was that, do you think, a good thing or a bad thing?
It was probably a good thing for you.
From a professional standpoint,
To do my job correctly,
it was a good thing.
I need to not be at the 21st Amendment every night with Kieran, Jacob and Mick.
You didn't want to feel how I felt for 5 of the 7 days.
How I feel right now.
From getting in and amongst it, yeah, definitely I would have been definitely preferred to stay there. But
Were you on the... What day was it? When did we go to the ship? Was that on Saturday night?
Oh, yeah, to go and watch the Beatles.
Yeah, the Beatlemania thing. That was a insight to what basically most nights were.
yeah. So that was the Saturday night. That's when I cut loose a little bit.
Yeah.
I did regret it on Sunday.
You just got a little bit too far ahead of yourself.
Yeah, I was not in the best shape.
Yeah.
Was it an early start on Sunday?
It wasn't crazy early, which is why I thought, because
This is the one day I can afford to do it.
Yeah. Monday to Friday, it was like, Monday to Friday, I was like 5 a.m. up, which was horrible.
Yeah.
No way you're doing it then.
That's ideal.
And like on the Saturday and the Sunday, it was 11 o'clock on the Saturday and then 10 o'clock on the Sunday.
Right.
Because there was less players
Got you.
to kind of chat to.
Yeah.
So I thought,
And the tee times were pushed slightly further back anyway, so people aren't going to be at the range until then.
Yeah, exactly. So I thought, Saturday night we'll cut loose a little bit.
Yes.
Well, it was weird because I did cut loose a little bit, probably more than I should have, but I wasn't drinking enough to me think back, saying, "Wow,
Yeah.
that was I shouldn't have done that."
Silly.
But I think it was more just I didn't eat anything.
Yeah, Jacob woke up next to his kebab, so
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it was more of a pool of garlic mayo, but
Dunk the tent.
I walked straight home.
That's great.
No,
I needed some food after that, I must admit.
I should have partaken in some garlic mayo kebab meat as well.
Something very sweaty.
but you're right. The campsite, we stayed in the campsite, and the campsite was not only in a great location, like a 5-minute walk to the range where you were, which was cool, and then an additional 3 to the course and a 30-second short walk to the town. It was very, very cool. The FootJoy camp out was excellent.
Good.
Beers were great. Everyone was really friendly. We got really well looked after. We filmed with Billy Horshaw, which was absolute chaos. You'd just be walking around and in the FootJoy fitting zone, they'd be, oh, look, it's Podrick Harrington. Oh, there's Corey Connors. I walked directly past him. I ditch blanked him.
Didn't even blink.
I was like, I don't know.
Wow. Didn't even
The
blink.
campsite was very cool. Very, very cool.
I mean, compared to last year, obviously, we did St Andrews last year, and that was crazy how close we were. That was 30 seconds, let alone 5 minutes. But going into this week, it was kind of, we had an expectation of what we were kind of going to expect with it because we did it last year. But the size of it like doubled in the amount of tents. I was almost looking at it with apprehension, really. Like, oh my God, this is going to be crazy here. But it was so much better. Like the atmosphere, music every night. They had Nick Doherty and his podcast in one night. They had the Claret Jug come one night. It was, they looked after everyone. And it was a £5 pint, which was, about
Excellent.
Reasonable.
£2.50 cheaper than inside the ropes of watching the golf. So.
Oh, wow, yeah, they were steep, those boys.
Shout out to Singer Beer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
God, they would have done well this week.
Oh, man, they would have killed it, yeah.
How did Singer Beer get in first?
I don't know. I've no idea. Well, they just buy the rights then.
Yeah.
Just pay enough money.
Yeah, pay enough money, get whoever you want in
Get
there.
you in.
Yeah, Finch Lager next year.
We did. Now we had some. I mean, we've been very, very busy this year, so it makes sense that we didn't do any of those crazy things. But there was talk of like doing
There was a bar or something.
like a mobile bar.
Yeah, pop-up bar. I mean, all these things are very much...
Yeah,
yeah.
They end up on the board at the beginning of the year. What should we do at the Open? Let's do all this mad stuff, and then by the time we get there, should we just try and survive it?
Yeah,
that was Pete's idea of getting us to do some work outside of just going to watch the Open.
Yeah.
He was like, oh yeah, by the way, you're going to be pouring pints all week.
The bar, yeah.
Never again.
I'd have quite enjoyed it, to be honest.
Enjoyed that.
Yeah.
After the work, getting in there.
My sort of throwback to my younger days.
Yeah, speaking of throwing back to younger days,
Here we go.
a noted college golfer ended up winning the tournament.
I mean, it's not the best segue.
It's okay.
I think it was okay.
Well,
that was a Tuesday segue, that one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, look, his heyday was beating Ricky Fowler while in college, and basically, of what I have learned about Brian Harman since
What everyone's learned about him
since Thursday, when you were like, "Who the hell is that?" and "What is he doing at the top of Tommy's leaderboard?"
And why is Ricky Ponting playing golf now?
Like I just did some research on him, and it turns out that if you speak to anyone from, I think he's 36 years old. If you speak to anyone in the US like college system about Brian Harman, they'd be like, "Wow, he was a killer in college. Like you just couldn't touch him. He was just so good."
I mean, he's been a good player for a long time. He was 26th in the world.
Mm-hmm.
This is...
You don't get there without being good at golf.
Exactly. This is a good golfer. It's more and I think he's earned like 24, 25 million in career earnings. Like this is someone who's... Yeah. He would. This is someone who's been up and around the top of leaderboards for a long time. He has won a couple of times on the PGA Tour already. But he's like a quiet, unassuming guy. He's easily looked over.
When you don't need to be much taller than him to look over him.
There
So.
we go, yeah.
Wow.
I'll go there. Terrible.
The entire opposite to Christo Lamprecht.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
What a long man that is.
A little open stat for you. This is the first time in Open history
I think I know what you're going to say.
Go on.
that the smallest man in the field
Yep.
has led after day 2, and the first round, the tallest man in the field.
So it went
led.
tallest to smallest.
Tallest to smallest. Yeah.
Same way as that the smallest man won the Open and the tallest man won the silver medal.
Silver medal, yeah.
That is so true. There's got to be a picture of them holding their trophies next to each
They must
other.
be together, yeah. They must be together somewhere.
Brian gets on his shoulders. He just can't be doing.
That stands on a box.
Yeah, but I think, to be honest, like it is, and I know obviously talking about his height there, and it is something that a lot of people have said, but honestly, on the range, he is really small. Like pretty much everyone around him is getting bigger, is getting taller, and he is quite small. But the way that he was striking it on the range was, he's one of those players who, like, when he hits it, it's not exceptional. Like you go past a Rory, he hits his driver, you're
Just
like,
sounds different.
wow.
You feel it.
Yeah, like
Shudders.
Christo Lamprecht, when he was hitting his driver, you were like, oh my God, that is literally almost clear in the back of the range. And you're like,
How is the ball still on the planet?
yeah. How is it still intact? Like that should have burst in two.
Yeah.
And you're like looking at it, you're like, wow, like Rory, wow. And then Brian Harman's hitting, you're like, okay, he's striking it well. He's a tall pro, he's obviously striking it well.
Yeah.
But then I was watching for a bit and I was like, hang on, he's striking every shot well.
Yeah.
Like every single, this was on like Monday, Tuesday. I'm like, every single shot is coming out of the middle of the club here.
Has he missed one yet?
Yeah, it was that kind of thing. You were looking at him like, God, he's just going through the same bit in the air. It's just like pew, 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 straight after it. So he was being incredibly accurate. His driving was fantastically accurate all week, but his putting His
Good Lord.
putting
Yeah.
was
Unbelievable.
obscene.
Yeah.
I think it was, he made 57 putts out of 58 from inside 10 feet, and he didn't have a 3-putt all week.
No 3 putts. It's just
Crazy that, isn't it?
wild.
And to be honest, like when you were watching him and when he was stood over those short putts, it didn't look like he was going to miss.
Yep.
There was
Confident, chilled.
yeah, it just looks
Stroke
Never thought he was
stroke
gonna
looked
miss.
great.
so comfortable over the ball. It was like, wow, it's just, I mean, he does use the worst looking putter potentially ever made.
Yeah, I love it. It seems like this year on the PGA Tour is
Just
like the
horrible.
year of like old model putters like coming back.
And the bigger the head, the more accurate.
Yeah.
The two that so did Wyndham and Ricky Fowler won with it this year, didn't
Brian
he?
Harman's putter, I think it was the 2016 tailor-made model that they brought out.
It's a TaylorMade Spider OS CB putter. Now, I'll kind of find a picture, put it on, but honestly, in reality, when you see this thing in person, you're like, that is a brick on a stick.
Yeah.
It is massive.
In comparison to the lab that you used to use,
Similar size.
very similar.
Similar size.
Is it made worse by the fact that he's not that big?
It's like as big as his foot.
Like if Lamprecht used it, would it just be normal size?
Looks
Yeah.
big in his hand. But it was just, he just hold absolutely everything. It was an absolutely fantastic performance, and he was by far the best player in the field that week. And that's what almost made it. It just made it a little bit dull on that last day. Like, you can't take anything away from the way that Harman played because he was just unreal. He was stellar. Easily champion goal for the year. Deserved it.
Yeah,
the title.
deserved it.
But it just felt a bit disappointing because nobody could
No one
keep
had a
up with it.
go.
Yeah.
Like that final day, there was no real charge. There was never any of that real jeopardy. Even when he dropped a couple of shots early, he'd done that on Saturday as well, and he bounced back with birdies.
Yeah, there
That's what
was
he did.
like I think like after every bogey he would come back and get the shot back.
Get the shots back.
Just so unreal. So unreal.
Yeah. So it was that little bit of a lack of drama, and like we said, standing on those last 4 holes, you could have a big shot lead and still get through.
Yeah.
But because of the way it rained on the last day, so you weren't bouncing into any trouble, and the way that the wind just sat down, it took all the jeopardy out.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
again, it was never going to lose that amount of shots.
He'd done all his work by 2 days, didn't he? Because he got to 10 under, and I don't think anyone surpassed 8 under for the rest of the tournament.
Yeah.
Like, so, I mean, obviously, he
could have
had
not
to do work in the second 2 days.
Could
But,
have
like,
not turned up.
not to point out the obvious, but yeah, kind of. Like, he still had to go out and do his thing for the last 2 days, and obviously that's when the pressure gets ramped up. You're leading now, you're the last group out. This is when the weekend kicks in, and he still came to the fore with it. He didn't. There was no point where you were kind of thinking he's gonna wander here.
The only day you kind of felt it was Saturday early on. When
when he made a couple
of bogeys.
Yeah.
He didn't look completely comfortable, but then bounced straight back.
Yeah, chaos.
He did say that somebody, this is his interview,
Oh, someone was heckling him.
someone was heckling, basically saying he didn't have the cojones to see it through, and he was like, that really helped.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a bit
Snapped him
like,
back.
now listen, going into the tournament, it's particularly for if you're British, you want someone of, at a tournament like that, I want to see Rory win. I want to see Tommy contend. I want the European players to do well in a Ryder Cup year. But there was a lot of and admittedly, I was willing some of his putts to lip out on Saturday and Sunday. But there was a lot of anti-Harman sentiment on the internet.
I think it was probably more. I think it was less anti-Harman and probably more. We want something to cheer. We want a challenge. We want excitement.
Yeah.
It was almost like the only way that they were going to get that is if Harman slipped back.
Correct.
So a lot of people were like, "Oh, we kind of want him to slip back," and he never did.
Bring the drama back into the tournament.
Exactly. Like if Harman, I think this was you saying this, Jacob, the other day. If Harman came back to the pack and he only won by 1 in the end, I don't think anyone would be massively disappointed at that. It would just be a case of it being a bit more exciting, or someone made a charge. Because if you actually take Harman off the top of the leaderboard,
It's great.
it's a very dramatic.
Well done,
final
Tom
day.
Kim. Great tournament.
You
Tom
think
Kim.
of all those guys coming down the back end, again, it's so hypothetical, but look at someone like Tommy, who would have been a shot off the lead and then makes a 6 on 17. That's those kind of moments of,
That was grim.
losing it. He was almost straight into my bad books with that one, I tell you. I needed him to finish in the top 10 for my each way bet, and he fell out. And fortunately, birdied the last, but he almost went straight into my bad books.
I can imagine.
Not for long, obviously. I love you, Tommy.
No.
But
It was. I felt for Tommy this week.
do you feel? And I this is my perception of it. I do feel like the moment got to him.
So
the expectation.
What I would say is he had an amazing first round. Obviously tied for the lead after round one.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't look to me. I had a chat to him, spoke to Finno, and the whole vibe around him is it didn't seem too much.
No,
it didn't seem like he was kind of under too much pressure.
Okay, well, that's good.
It seemed like he was enjoying it. The problem he had, and when I was watching him kind of on the course and on the range, he was hitting the ball really well.
Yep.
And I have never seen anyone, maybe apart from Scott Scheffler, who we'll get into in a moment.
His putter.
Good Lord.
It was so cold.
Yeah.
But not in a bad putting way.
Oh, he edges, but it just never went in.
It just wasn't going in.
Yeah.
And well, we were like, obviously everyone was like willing him to hold some putts, but I've got to be honest, when we played it yesterday, I could understand why he was missing so many putts on the edges. The greens at Royal Liverpool are not slopey. Like, they are really, really not slopey. You look at them and you're like...
You're almost making the break in your head kind of thing.
Yeah, you look at them and say, like, oh, that's like a cup.
It can't be that straight.
Yeah, exactly. You're looking at it, it's like, oh, yeah, that's a cup off the left or that's a cup off the right. You hit it, it's dead straight. You're like, oh, right, okay. Happens a few times and you're like, oh, this looks pretty straight. You hit it and it breaks a cup to the right.
So then
and then you're like, this is going to get annoying. This is going to get really annoying.
I think after the first round, he was either leading or in the top 5 of strokes gained putting.
Yeah, it was him and Harman at the top.
Yeah. And then last 3 days, just completely lost what he was doing. I don't know what like you say, if he was just kind of looking too much into things and trying to decide whether there was break or not. There was a couple of putts that, albeit by the beauty of watching someone hit the putt the last time it was shown on the television, I was looking at it and just saying, there's nothing in this, Tommy. Hit it straight.
Yeah, it's straight. Yeah, there was...
and he leaves it out to the right. And
Going down the back 9 on Sunday, there was about 3 or 4 times in a row where they cut to him and he burned the edge. They cut to him and he burned the edge.
From like...
heartbreaking.
12 to 16, 15, something like that. I think he had 4 decent looks at birdie and every single one just like skimmed the edge.
Yeah, it's tricky because like on the week, he was almost 2 strokes gained putting on the field.
Yeah.
So, it wasn't like he was putting bad. It was just, and we've all had those rounds. We've all had those rounds where we feel we're putting well and it's just not going in.
Yeah, 100%.
Unfortunately, that happened for like 3 days in a row.
At the wrong time.
At the wrong time.
In the open.
And you could see
in your hometown.
And you could see he was gutted. But I think, we've got to look at everyone else as well. Like Rory, I didn't fancy him at the start of the week just because he'd won last week. It's so hard to go back to back.
Yeah, that's tough.
It's such a weird thing in football, in golf. Like if it was football, you'd be like, oh, United have won last week.
That's so true.
They're on form. They're going to win again. But with golf, it's like, oh, you won the week before. It's very rare you go back to back.
Yeah,
I suppose because there's obviously a lot more people playing. So it is tough to do. But again, he was up and around the top of the leaderboard. He's had, apart from not winning majors, again, he's having an incredibly consistent year.
So how annoying is it? He's like, they said to him in his post-round interview, they're like, is it annoying or like, are you disappointed with your year? And he was like, not really. Like, I've played really well. I'm going to go and try and win the FedEx Cup again. And then we're going to concentrate on the Ryder Cup. And you're like, okay, he's making a lot of sense. He played pretty well all year. He just didn't finish it off how we wanted him to.
I mean, Rory might be the only player in the world who could go from... Because what was his final kind of finish position in the Open?
T6, I believe.
So T6,
yes.
yeah. So he's the only player, I think, in world golf who could win last week, finish T6 this week, and people think, he must have had a really disappointing time.
Is it like 9 of his last 10 majors he's finished inside the top 10?
He's ridiculously consistent.
He can golf.
He can golf. I obviously picked him as my main selection, and I emphasise main selection because there was other selections that I want to.
We'll get on to that in a moment.
Take my victory lap for. But I know I felt good about him coming in this week. I thought like you said, off the back of him winning the Scottish Open, it's such a weird mindset to be like, actually, you know what, Rory, if you could become second and do the winning for next week, it's almost like you just save it, isn't it? You kind of pick your time to do it. Yeah. Same with Tommy at the Scottish as well. I was like, well, if you want to, if you want to come third, that might set you up quite nicely, and seemingly sort of did for a day. It was a shame to see McIlroy not kick on. I think.
Well, he scared us a little bit on the last day. He was, was he 3 under through 2 or 3 under through
3 under through 5
through 2?
That's pretty good. 3 under through 5.
Yeah. He was, and the group following him, of course, was ginormous, and you could feel the kind of, there's a little bit of anticipation of something happening, and then it just didn't happen.
I mean, so I'll just give you some Rory McIlroy stats for this year, just to put this in context. So his top stats, PGA Tour, he's first in driving distance. He's first in driving distance. He's first in all drives, and total driving. He's second in strokes gained off the tee. He's third in strokes gained total. He's second in strokes gained off the tee. He's fourth in approach to the green. He's 84th in putting. Obviously, that's something which is going to let him down, but he hits that many greens. It's kind of one of those things. Results-wise, okay, let me fire some stuff at you here, okay? So, he won the CJ Cup. He was tied 30th, tied 29th, tied second, missed the cut, third,
RIP, missed the cut.
7th, 9th, 2nd, 7th, 1st, 6th for his last starts.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah, listen, the guy's unbelievably consistent. His level of consistency is not where it was in that period of his career where he couldn't lose.
No, that's the thing. It wasn't. Like, he is more consistent now. But it's this whole argument around golf, and it's this whole thing around how do you actually want to play? Do you want to be super consistent, always around the top of the leaderboard, but not getting over the line quite as much as people think you should? Or do you just want to go on a couple of months of mad form, win a few events, and then drop off again? Like, who's going to have a more successful season?
Yeah,
like who will get remembered more? It's an argument. It's almost impossible to predict as well when this happens, but you do see it happening more and more. If you think about Scotty Scheffler, when he went on that tear, looked unbeatable. Rahm, when he went on that tear, looked unbeatable. And this is why the world number 1 spot is just like shifting around so much.
Yeah.
You look at even someone like Scheffler, like the guy's number 1 in the world. The Open finish was the first time he's finished outside the top 12 since November.
Which is crazy, and it was because he was literally last in putting.
Well, what was it? What did you say?
What was the stat?
I think the Open had his Open. The Open had put a stat out and said he was 157th in putting from 156 players.
He was so bad that there was an extra person.
It was just like an extra minus. It was like wow, which.
There was someone who DNF'd.
Yeah.
It was better than him.
Oh, honestly, it's so confusing because the thing is, like, when he was at his pomp, it wasn't like he was when he was at his pomp. It was literally last
he's
year.
still the world number 1.
He's still the world number 1. And this is the thing, he gets a lot of very looked over. He's probably the most underappreciated world number 1, I think, ever, because people don't even think about him as world number 1. But he is, again, one of those players that is consistently up around the top of the leaderboard. And unlike Rory, so you look at Rory and say, well, if he could putt, he could win loads. But actually, he's an average to good putter. If Scotty Scheffler could putt at the moment, he would have won 14 times this year.
I know.
And that is not exaggerating.
Yeah.
Statistically, if he had average putting weeks, he would have won 14 times.
Yeah, we don't even need him to be like number 1 in putting.
No, if
but Rory's 84th.
If he had Rory's putting, he would have won like
every tournament this year.
He would have won like 6-7 times.
I was getting like serious Zalatoris vibes watching him on short putts. There was a couple of points, and I was like, he's going to push this, and he's like his stroke is. I was getting tetchy every time. Anything outside of like 10 foot, I was like, oh, he might make this, but anything inside 5 foot was a bit.
It's. I don't think it's a. I think it's definitely not like a technical thing. Like technically, he's putting his fine.
His stroke's good.
It's more of a mental thing, which is now set in for him.
Yeah,
and he's obviously just trying to fight through.
Got a break out of whatever that is,
and hopefully he will do. Hopefully he will do. He's way too good of a player not to be winning like consistently.
You know what? He's made enough money this year. I think he'll be all right.
Like, he's doing all right. He's doing all right. He's world number one, and we're talking about him like he's on the decline. Like he's all right. You know, he's not struggling. I think out of everyone, I think Scheffler was maybe the biggest disappointment. I think Rahm had a decent chance of giving it a run. He just wasn't consistent enough all week.
There was a little force field at 8 under that no one could get through apart from Harman. Maybe he just slipped under it.
And that Rahm run on Saturday?
Yeah, Saturday, yeah.
Was
he shoot 63?
Yeah, was basically just because on his back nine the wind died.
Yeah, and he just fired at everything.
It was just like,
and it
cool,
just came off.
Here's all the pins.
Attack me.
A huge shout out to Seb Straka, by the way, won a couple of weeks ago. Now
Seppi boy.
tied second. He probably cemented his place in
I'd say.
the Ryder Cup, I'd say.
Yeah, I think so.
I'd take him.
Which is great. Huge shout out to Tom Kim as well. Final 4 round to finish T2.
Didn't he play 3 rounds with a rupture in his ankle?
Yeah, like a tall
grade 1 tear or something.
What the
Yeah.
hell is wrong with that guy?
We got
and with
played
a
his
smile
best
on his
golf.
face.
Yeah.
we'll get on to
He's got some problems.
I almost got out of my skis a little bit. So I was working all week, and last week's podcast, if you've not listened to it, Jacob crunching the numbers
Week before
came out with all these names of players who could win. We really narrowed it down.
Yeah.
But within the top 10,
I think it went even top 6.
top 6 players.
Yeah.
Within the top 6 players that netted out really well was Brian Harman. Now, ultimately, he wasn't the number 1 pick. So I think it was.
I said Rory.
Was it Rory who?
That was like my main guy. Yeah.
But anyway, Rory netted out number 1, but Brian Harman was there. Jacob got the stats up, and it stuck in my head. And I was like,
we know.
As soon as Jacob said, I was like, Brian Harman, that's
great, that, isn't it?
fantastic.
Weird take.
That is such a brilliant outside bet.
Yeah.
So as soon as we got to the Open, and as soon as on live TV, as soon as I started to get asked who my pick was, I was like, got a little sneaky tip for you this week. We've been crunching the numbers, and Brian Harman actually nets out really well. You've heard it here first. Brian Harman.
Everyone was like, "Oh wow, great insight, Pete. How did you? That's incredible knowledge, and all of that work that you've done to get those numbers prepared for us is absolutely incredible."
And I was like, "You're welcome."
Very much
Jacob
welcome.
sat there like,
I would like to point out that I did bring Jacob up when I was saying this.
Yeah.
I just want to point that out.
I had a nice little moment with Simon Holmes where he confirmed that for me when we were in the ship-in on the Saturday night, and he came over and you were like, "Oh, by the way, this is my head of content, Jacob," and he was like, "Oh, so this is the Jacob that's been talking about." I was like, "Oh, that's nice."
Yeah, so we got it there. But like that week, I was then... now, because as soon as Brian Harman got to the top of the leaderboard, everyone just kept referring back to it.
Yeah.
And literally anyone I spoke to, anything I did, podcast, any TV, the first thing was like, "How did you pick Brian Harman at the start of the week?"
Just that good.
It's like, it's just what we do. You know,
just
like,
obvious.
That's what we do over here.
I can't actually believe no one else picked him. This is crazy.
I mean, there was off the back of Jacob's recommendation, there was a plethora of people who put serious amounts of money in some cases onto B Harms, and everyone was in the Rough Cut DMs congratulating Jacob for that take.
Yeah.
Just from the messages we received, I would estimate that the Rough Cut Golf podcast made about 15 grand.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
You're welcome, boys.
Yeah.
I had about 15 DMs on Instagram of people sending me screenshots of their bets, and there was about 3 or 4 that were $1,000 for sure.
Yeah.
And then there was, on top of that, there was another 7 or 8 that were like 800 quid, a couple of others like 300.
I had a few guys message me, someone won 1,200 quid. So, like, listen, the next time we do our predictions, you better listen up.
Yeah, unless he says Patrick Cantley.
Just ignore that one.
Just ignore that one.
That's fine.
Don't listen to Cantley.
Oh, wait, speaking of Cantley, they put Cantley and Koepka together, didn't they?
Oh, they did.
In their pairings. Yeah. That was, on a side note, that was hilarious. Well done, the RNA or whoever organised the pairings.
And then Brooks took an overdive. What a surprise. But on that, because I got the Brian Harman thing was out there.
Yeah.
I went on a podcast, and Tom Kim he's like 10 behind Harman or whatever. And I said, like, do you think Tom Kim has a chance of coming through this weekend? I was like, he has no chance of winning this. Wow. Like, I got like properly like over my skis. I thought this is dead cert. Because I just read the story about him like tearing something in his ankle.
Like, that's
I'm like, listen,
he's not doing nothing.
So when he started to have a little charge, I was like, for God's sake.
Yeah. Please don't do it.
You pick the winner. That's good going.
We pick listen. It's the Rough Cut Golf.
Of course.
Yeah.
Okay.
This
Jacob-
is where you need to
Jacob
be.
Broadbridge from the Rough Cut Golf podcast.
The little cherry was the fact that there was the clip of you talking to Gareth Bale on the range.
I forgot about that.
And he was even asking about it and like, I saw you asking about like crunching numbers and I want to know who these guys are. And then, you name dropping me into that, which was very nice.
Yeah. I was like, no, we've got a team, mate. We've got a team of statisticians behind closed doors, grafted away.
Jacob 2 hours before the podcast.
Do you know what?
recording.
It's nice that because even the first 3 attempts this year, there was a couple that obviously I didn't pick the winners, but there were a couple that they got top 10s and they were kind of there or thereabouts. And it is nice to see that like there is some sort of validity to it, and like there is something in it that you can kind of grasp to. Because I was getting a little bit not down in the dumps about it, but I'm getting a little bit kind of, it's a shame that nothing's really like coming off as well as I thought it would. And there's obviously stuff to be said that you can't take everything with you got everything's with a pinch of salt, and I could have probably made out anyone to be the winner this week or last week. But it's just nice to see that these kind of things do have some kind of play.
Yeah.
You get what I mean?
I think the previous 3 you had selected the stats that you were going to use in a way that meant you could name Fleetwood or McIlroy.
Yeah,
or,
I mean, I was trying to like obviously avoid being a bit too
you don't
forceful of favouritism.
Otherwise, you would have named Scheffler for all 4 tournaments this year.
That is also the nice thing as well, and I said that on the podcast when I named these guys, that this was the first tournament of the year where actually there was just some different people coming out. Like, usually for the other 3 majors, the things you're going for is like, who's hitting it the furthest and who's the most accurate, and then every winner was always under the age of 32 and stuff. So there was like a whole plethora of players that you just kind of just got removed. And then finally with this, obviously the big thing was I think 9 of the last 11 winners were over the age of 32. So you've got Harman as a 36-year-old. It kept people like Rory in contention, who's now becoming somewhat of a veteran, I suppose, of the PGA Tour.
Yeah.
So it was nice to see him come through. I mean, it certainly wasn't the pick I wanted to win, but in terms of financially, I've done well, and other people have done well, and I'm glad that I can bring that to people.
Congratulations, well done.
Yes, well done, everyone.
It is a good thing about the Open. Like, it actually brings other players in. Like, the leaderboard's actually quite cool. Like, it's got some different players on there.
Guys that weren't anywhere near in any of the other Opens.
Huge shout out to Matt Jordan as well.
Yeah.
who
Oh,
went
yeah,
through,
100%.
Last week's hole. Actually.
Yeah, who went through qualifying and managed to finish T10th.
Yeah,
they got
so
fantastic
At his home course.
At his home course.
With his parents were, in floods of tears as he walked down 18, and then he tapped in.
No, it was just a rain.
Oh, it was
It just rained down their face.
Yeah, you're right. It was rain.
If you looked around, technically, everybody had floods of tears coming down their face.
Yeah. It was a wet one.
But yeah,
Alex Fitzpatrick, another one
Alex
as well.
Fitzpatrick,
Yeah.
yeah.
He beat his brother, didn't he?
He did, yeah.
So that was nice.
Honestly, it was just apart from Harman just bossing it, it was a very exciting.
Yeah.
Change -13 to 8 under. And it was a great
much
tournament.
more exciting.
Yeah.
And then on 18, you're hoping that he does a Hatton, and then someone
has a 9 or whatever.
Yeah. That was unreal. Did you see that, by the way?
Yeah.
2 out of bounds, right? And then
I was definitely thinking about it yesterday when I played.
Oh, really?
So, don't hit this right.
Well, so we played Royal Liverpool Holyoke yesterday. I played with Seb, Carmichael Brown, Seb on golf, Rick Shields, and Louis, Clubface Golf UK. And the whole course we played, I would say, I think we played like about maybe 14 tees off the backs, off the proper tees.
Oh, yeah.
And then a few were moved forward. So we played pretty much roughly the course they did.
As far back as it would let you.
Yeah. I think the only holes that it was a noticeable difference was the first, where I think we were like literally 60 yards in front.
Out of the grandstand.
Oh, really?
Out of the grandstand.
Why was that?
I don't know. I'm not sure why. I think they were already taking it down. But that was really the only one where there was a big noticeable difference. And on the 18th, we teed off the back tees. Oh my God. So in tournament conditions, let me set this scene. On the 18th, we are talking about a 600-yard par 5. Mm-hmm. An incredibly tight fairway. We're talking 20 yards wide at its maximum. Bunks on the left, out of bounds on the right.
Bunkers on the left, within driving range.
Off the back tees, for us, not really.
You weren't reaching it.
The wind was like literally straight off the left. It was grim.
So towards out of bounds.
Towards the out of bounds. So we're stood there. And I've been hitting an aggressive cut all day, let's say that. I'm on that tee, and I'm like, wow, this is a horrific tee shot because it's like 240 yards to reach the fairway.
Yeah, it's a long boy.
And I'm like, oh my God. So we all tee off, and just as we're about to tee off, because obviously they're all taking everything down, this massive lorry comes up the left-hand side of the hole and parks on the road, like linking the hospitality to the 18th. So all of a sudden, you can't really hit it too far left,
Wow.
or you're going to be hitting a truck.
Okay.
So I'm like, right, okay. That's and he's there. He's just like sat there waiting, idling. Look over to the right side in the hospitality. Decided to take the hospitality down. There's a forklift there. It's just like vans, literally just off of the out of bounds. So all of a sudden, you now have the tightest hole in golf, 600 yards, wind howling on the left-hand side, truck to the left, windows to the right. And you're like, what on earth am I going to do here?
Hit it backwards.
Rick tees off first. He hits something. That's all I'm going to say.
Okay.
Seb tees off second. Almost misses the ball.
Okay.
Good.
I tee off third. And I hit it so far right that I'm pretty sure I'm going to get billed.
Wow. Yeah, just like glass right.
And honestly, I was there. I was like, wow, just imagine like being under that kind of pressure coming down that last hole and being like, wow, I don't know how they do it.
It's
honestly.
okay. I see what you did there. You just wanted to get the authentic experience and just understand how bad you can be on the
Oh my God. Honestly, it's such a stressful hole and it's just so tight. That being the last hole of a major is like crazy.
What hole did you enjoy playing the most?
I really enjoyed 17 because I hit the green.
Oh, nice.
I thought that was nice. And the way that they set that hole out, the amphitheater with the tee shot, I think they could have made that like 3 times as big, if I'm being honest with you.
They could have really closed it up,
gone to town on it. And then up on the green, beautiful views. We had a gorgeous day yesterday. The sun was beating down. It was such a difference from Sunday.
Yeah.
The course, honestly, links course is usually pretty well drained, sand based. It mashed it down on Sunday.
Yeah.
It absolutely battered it. And like all throughout the day, and especially during the evening, it was like torrential rain to the point I was like, I don't honestly think we're going to play tomorrow. Like it's just way way too heavy.
They're not going to let you walk on that.
Yeah, it's just like there's no way you can cope with that volume of water. We got up in the morning and it was like it hadn't been touched.
Really?
Honestly, like whatever the ground construction is, or however much sand's under that course, it was unbelievable.
Okay.
Honestly, I couldn't believe it. Couldn't believe how well it drained. There's a few like muddy patches where people have been walking.
Yeah.
But apart from that, it was fantastic. Honestly, I was shocked.
That's good. I mean, yeah, that course got, especially on the Sunday, got absolutely battered. We got away with it on Saturday. Saturday was, by all forecasts, meant to be very similar, and somehow they got away with it. Being on the last day on a Sunday, the weather playing a factor into the final round was quite interesting to watch from the comfort of your sofa instead of being out in the
we dipped out early. We watched Tommy's first 4 holes, just to make sure that there wasn't going to there wasn't going to be some sort of mad comeback, and then we could both feel ourselves on the like we'd been wet for 5 days or whatever. It was a bit of a loose one the night before, so we were like, let's just go home. We're going to be watching it on a TV anyway, because you can't get to the players at this point. Everyone's going to have an umbrella up. We're not super tall. Lamprecht would have been fine. He could have been seen over these crowds, but we would have just been watching it on a TV somewhere. So we decided to go home and watch it on our TVs at home.
It was probably the correct decision, I'd say, and it was probably the way I kind of wanted to watch what was the last men's major of the year. Now we're all done until
but 9
Augusta
months
comes back round.
9 months of waiting now.
Yeah, I mean, we've still got some ladies majors to watch. We've got the
Solheim Cup,
Ryder Cup, Solheim Cup. That's
a lot of golf to play.
So we've still got a lot to come. But I know what everybody really is here for. So at the start of the year, myself, Kieran, Jacob, and Mick, we had a little bit of a gamble in the office here. We have a cabinet, it's 2 shelves, 4 compartments in total, which when we got it, I stocked with food and bits and bobs have gone in there since, but it's never been full.
It's never been refilled
It's,
again.
it's never been, packed to the rafters. So at the start of the year, we decided that we would all pick our major teams, which was consisting of 4 players each. Now, we could sub in and out, like some players got injured, but the basic scoring was simple. If your player finished first in a major, they would get 1 point. If they finished 50th, they'd get 50 points. If they missed the cut, they'd get the amount of players who've missed the cut in points. The team with the lowest score at the end of the year would be victorious. The team which finished last with the most points would have to restock the cabinet full of goodies. And after the Open, we finally have the full standings. And boy, oh boy, do we have a story to tell. So
There's been a lot of change.
now, personally, my team, it didn't change throughout the year. Jacobs, yours stayed the same as well?
Stay the same.
Kieran swapped out Zalatoris when he got injured and brought in Lowry.
Correct.
Mick, you swapped out McIntyre. He had a bit of a rough time. And you subbed in Matsuyama.
Correct.
Now, those both incurred missed cut penalties.
Yes.
As a result.
So in order to pay to take a sub, you had to take the next amount of rough cut, missed cuts. I'm very ill right now.
So yeah, it was a very tightly fought battle. Now, Kieran was pretty much leading all throughout the year.
Yeah.
Well, you had a winner, and Kieran had a winner. Apart from that, it was all very close.
Yeah, and also Kieran had Scheffler, who, apart from the Open, didn't finish outside.
He had Scheffler and Brooks, who both
super consistent.
Very consistent.
I was dragged down, I'm afraid to say, by Francesco Molinari.
Wow.
He missed the cut in every major. So
Yeah.
I was so hopeful for
That
this
Ryder
year.
Cup push never came.
With the Ryder Cup in Italy, I thought, he's going to find some inspiration. He's going to come back, but no, he sucked.
He never found it.
So
A small point on that is that we did have to pick one player outside of the top 50.
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah.
So you wouldn't have necessarily picked him if you couldn't, but
No.
there was the reasoning for that.
Yeah, so one player outside the top 50 at the time of the teams being picked. Burns was a bit hit and miss, but Cameron Smith and John Rahm for me kind of did the business. Overall points. Are we ready for this?
Yeah, go on.
Yeah, go.
Okay.
So with Kieran going into this tournament, Kieran was leading by about, I think, 120 or something.
Yeah.
We'll go back and work out the exact numbers, but it was about that much.
Yeah.
And it was at the point where Jacob was like, "Oh, okay, yeah, I'll take second place. I don't mind."
Yeah, it was sliding comfortably in there.
I'll take my silver.
You were just slotting in there. But oh my word, the Open Championship, Jacob's team, McIlroy 6th, Tom Kim 2nd,
Yeah.
Hovland 13th,
Yeah.
Ronk 23rd.
Yeah.
Catapulted birdies for Broadbridge to the top of the leaderboard and relegated the team of Kieran's 4 Americans in a bed, which doesn't make any sense after he made the substitution.
Oh, I didn't think about that. I should have changed his flaming name.
Down to second. So Jacob with 419 points in total. Kieran 573. Those are the top 2.
It
Not even
doesn't
close, is it?
help that Lowry and Finau both missed the cut.
Yeah. In all fairness,
That was what did it to him.
And Koepka basically had a miscut as well.
Yeah. And those 2 players as well, especially Lowry, you'd expect.
Yeah,
around the links
dude.
course, yeah. Also, I mean, Kieran probably will be quite disappointed with that, but hopefully he finds some comfort in that his substitution still wouldn't have mattered.
Yeah.
Like I still would have beaten.
Yeah.
So.
But here we go. So we have the bottom 2. Now,
Us.
it was me and Mick, and it was actually quite close going into the last. I was just ahead, and
I think you were maybe 80 or 78 points ahead of me or something.
and I'm not going to lie, I was nervous because I already had Francesco in my team, so
It's an auto cut.
it was
Auto
almost an
miscut.
auto cut. When I started seeing
Miscut Molinari.
when I started seeing him on the range at the start of the week, I was like, this isn't good.
This is going to go real bad.
I'm looking at a miscut right here. So he didn't make it. Also, for me, Sam Burns didn't make it.
That's absolutely
a
wild.
shocker for you.
I was
isn't it?
expecting a big year from Sam Burns. He's won the match play, but apart from that, not really done a lot. Smith made an eagle
Yeah.
on the last
Hell of an
to make the
eagle,
cut.
but he needed. Well, I mean, I suppose he could have tapped in for the birdie if he didn't make it, but
it was the best eagle in the world as far
that
as
was
I'm
a
concerned.
very good eagle.
It was one of those ones where I was like, don't go in.
Yeah.
Please don't go in.
And he finished 33rd at the Open. John Rahm, Mr. Dependable, finished second as well. So that gave me a grand points total of 661. Now,
Okay.
Mick was hoping.
It was not ideal.
Mick was hoping for a big week, and you know what?
I had a good week.
He almost pulled it off.
Yeah, Fitzpatrick 17. Sunjay was 20.
20th.
Yeah, 20th. Matsuyama came in clutch, which was, we worked out that I was only very slightly better off having taken out Rob Mack, which was great. But Mr. Dependable on my team, Mr. Dependable, Open champion, Colin Morikawa, Mr. Cut.
Colin Morikawa stabbed Mick in the back because he missed the cut, accrued 80 points, and put Mick on 720. 60 points adrift in last place. Yeah. So this means that we have to get our shopping list together.
Yeah.
Because Mick is restocking that cabinet.
Damn it. Now, if Colin Morikawa had done what he had done for the rest of the year, which was finished like around the 20 kind of mark, I would have beat you.
Yeah.
So, Colin,
listen,
Colin, do better next year. You understand?
You're going to pick him again?
Well, I don't know, actually. I don't know how much it
Is
hurts.
he immediately not on like a list of people you just kind of...
He's on a hit list.
Yeah, exactly. He's been exiled.
Yeah, so I will be refilling the food cupboard. Would you like to name 3 items each that you would like to see purchased within
caviar.
normal work food cupboard range?
Caviar, yeah, that sounds fantastic.
Did you hear what I said? I said normal work food cupboard range.
All right, fine.
And we work here, not at the Ritz.
What was in there last? It was just basically tins of soup.
It was
Tins, we had
beans,
pot noodles,
soup,
cereal,
ravioli,
biscuits.
spaghetti hoops.
Yeah.
That kind of vibe.
Cereal.
What would you like? I'll make sure I get it for you.
Branston beans.
I don't know if I can buy that.
Branston beans.
I don't can bring myself to do
I don't know if I can actually. I actually think my card will get declined if I try and buy
Serious thrhrowback to earlier on in the podcast.
Yeah, if you're that deep in the podcast and you know the beans reference.
Well, the beans are available.
Ooh, what else? What else did I like?
I mean, you know me, I'm deep on the ravioli. I'm deep on
the ravioli's good.
Deep on the ravioli, deep on soup. Love my pot noodles. So yeah, I'm pretty easy.
Things that are very easy to eat.
Do you know?
Yeah.
Do you know what would be like a proper throwback to when I was like 9? Was when you used to get those like spaghetti and you get the little sausages in them as well.
Oh yeah, love a bit of that.
Yeah,
they're good.
Hoops and sausages.
Or you can
chuck them on some toast.
You get basically beans and sausages in a can, can't you?
Yeah, you can. Do that.
You get like breakfast in a can.
Oh.
Bring some Frey Bento's pies.
Yeah, so I'm thinking,
Rustler's burger.
I'm thinking like
no, don't get that.
Some good cereals, so we can, if you're here very early, which sometimes we do try and get here early to, catch up on things or play on the sim or whatever.
Look, let's be brutally honest here. I'm saying this because he's not here to defend himself, but Kieran is going to be eating all of it. So
yeah. So what things doesn't Kieran like?
Yeah, there we go.
Oh, yeah, and you could phrase it in that way. Just message Kieran and say, "Going to be restocking it. What things don't you like so I can avoid it?"
Yeah,
then
and
just
then
get
just get
everything.
That,
yeah, there we go.
How's that rampant nut allergy going on?
Yeah, it's just a lot of sun-kissed.
Yeah, just Snickers everywhere.
Sun-packed.
To be fair, the boy will eat anything, so I think
he is a human Hoover.
He would eat himself through any allergy.
Yeah,
he'll be fine.
Yeah, he'll be fine. I'll restock the cupboard.
He would totally do that as well, wouldn't he? If he was lactose intolerant, he literally wouldn't care. Would he?
I know a couple of people who are lactose intolerant, and we go out for pizza on a regular basis. And they're they've just got a tablet. They're like, I'll take this, and I can just eat as much as I want. I'll deal with it tomorrow.
Yeah.
That must be so hot. Anyway, so that's the majors draft picks over with for this year.
Based on this year's performance, will you be re-picking anyone from this year next year, do you reckon?
Who was MVPs of teams? I think even though Rory was good, that miscut at the Masters has probably slightly pushed him out. And I'd say I think Hovland has done very well for me.
Yeah,
never missed a cut.
I mean, I definitely have McIlroy. I mean, that miscut.
McIlroy was great.
Yeah, that miscut the Masters was in previous. what's the word?
Anomaly?
Aberration. Apart from that, he's been 7th, 2nd, and 6th. Like he's been all right.
Oh yeah, he was
Scheffler's definitely got to be up there as well.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, Rahm. He had.
Oh look, it's the top 3 in the world.
Yeah.
Plus Hovland.
Kepka was good apart from the Open, but apart from that, 17th, 1st, 2nd.
Yeah. I think Cam Smith was actually sneaky. Okay, 30th, 9th, 4th, 30th.
Yeah, you take it.
Yeah,
You take it.
You'd take it.
So the best players in the world, 2 people who went to live, and Victor Hovland.
Hey, it's Ryder Cup, Solheim Cup time now. That's all I'm bothered about.
Yeah.
Is Brian Harman going to be in the US team then?
Oh, yeah, he's up to 3rd now.
Yeah, he will be.
And Fleetwood is into the automatics for the Ryder Cup team as well.
Do you reckon I feel like we might do them.
If you would have
It's
asked,
going to be different teams this year.
literally 1 year ago, you'd have been here and think, you know what,
The US are going to kill us.
US is going to absolutely trounce us. I actually think by the time he gets to Rome, we'll be favourites.
Yeah,
I think you might be right, yeah. But
'Cause
anyone who's going to Rome, remember that Brian Harman won the Open off the back of some serious heckling. So let's, know,
it'd be nice to him.
I reckon he'd be a nightmare to play in the singles.
That, by the way, that is a course which is like made for Brian Harman as well.
Yeah.
So he's going to be leading point scoring.
Oh, jeez. That's not good for us.
No, honestly, I honestly think by the time he gets to Rome, we're going to be favourites
Okay.
because all our players are generally trending in the right direction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas the US team is pretty stagnant.
It's weird, isn't it? There's going to be some guys that miss out that you have seen in the Ryder Cup teams for the last 3-4 events. Like it's going to be a very different side. I mean, you've got guys like Wyndham Clark, like Brian Harman, who are going to be playing for the first time that, rightly so, off major victories in the season.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They're good players.
Justin Thomas might not be there.
Oh,
It
God.
might be a struggle.
What a absolute nightmare he's had.
Justin Spieth, mega inconsistent.
Justin Spieth.
Justin Spieth.
Justin Spieth, that guy.
They're basically the same person now.
I mean, to be fair, they do play together pretty much all the time. So that combo.
Justin Spieth Fowler. It's double-barreled.
Well, Ricky Fowler, he's probably going to be there.
Yeah.
Off the back of all this, but
Chef gang.
Dustin Johnson.
Marikawa.
I'll be there.
Oh my God, Scotty Scheffler. Is that put good? No.
I will see all of those
all week.
They'll just go up to Scotty before the race
on the first tee.
Just finish everything off.
Don't ask.
Just don't even ask. You're putting everything.
Yeah.
Wow, how brutal would that be? Like Tony, you just thought would have really kicked on this year.
Yeah,
It's
not really
done
done
too
a lot.
much. Kepka's going to be in the team.
Kepka will be in it, yeah.
Just throwing some live grenades around.
And
Yeah.
now look at us. We've got Rahm, we've got Fleetwood, we've got McIlroy, we've got Hovland, we've got Sepp Straka now. Hello.
Rookie got
We've got Fitz gang.
Fitz, Lowry will be in there.
Lowry definitely be in there.
And then
said Fleets.
Yeah,
Yeah.
said Fleets, yeah. I mean, there's Hatton.
Maronk.
Maronk
Maronk,
probably
you'd
right in
think, if
there.
he won there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although 2 miscuts this year and not particularly good finishes until
Yeah, he's been generally quite consistent.
He's
right?
been
Everything
alright,
else,
yeah.
hasn't he? So he might
On
make it in there.
DP World Tour events, he's been very good.
Yannick Paul. I was spoken about Yannick.
Yeah, because Bobby McIntyre's now in the automatics for the European points. Yannick was in it all year, and then now that second place
So
at the
tight.
Scottish has just booted him out.
So listen, whatever happens,
We got a lot to talk about.
it's
with
gonna
Ryder
be
Cup.
a great event, and can't wait. Going to be there as well. So it's going to
absolutely.
be very exciting. So I think we've probably chatted ourselves out.
Yes, I think so. I think we've just tipped over an hour.
Wow, that's very good for us.
yeah, I'm ready to go to bed now.
Incredible work. So, guys, I just want to say big thank you for listening on your favourite podcast provider. If you haven't followed us already, make sure you do. And also on YouTube, you can become a subscriber and watch the video version. If you are watching the video version and haven't subscribed, make sure you do. You can also listen to us on your favourite podcast provider. Our links to our social media is also in the description. And boy, oh boy, have we got some cracking episodes coming, including the coverage of the Fairway Down. 1 man, 1,000 miles, 10 courses, and a brutal challenge against the elements.
Come on,
That
Pete.
is coming very soon.
Is there an auto cue somewhere?
I don't know.
Where did you read that from?
Don't know. I'm coming into form.
Yeah, he's listening. He's been on TV all week. He's prepared.
Honestly, I feel talked out.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I thought you might struggle today. I thought
Yeah.
you had enough words for one
No,
week.
I'm gonna dig deep. I'm gonna smash it through,
Okay.
and I might take Friday off.
I'll allow it.
I don't.
How much a Friday?
I looked today. I've literally been going for 3
Solid
weeks.
weeks. Yeah.
I literally not stopped.
Even on your weekends, you're going and filming things.
Yeah, which is probably a little bit too much. So yeah, I'm gonna treat myself with like a Friday off.
Yeah. Rest up. You got to cycle a long way next time.
Yeah, I'm gonna treat myself with a Friday off, and I'm gonna go for
Go for a bike ride.
50 mile cycle in the morning. Yes.
Right. Bye, everyone.
Cool.
See you later.
See you guys
See you later.
Bye bye. Bye bye. Bye bye.